Welcome to the Joyful Jack-o'-lantern Crochet Along here in October of 2025. And today is day 2. Now, day 2, I'm not giving you the title to start off with, and we'll get to that in a minute because, well, we'll get to that. But what I want to do to start us off with is let's go ahead and talk about the elephant that might be in the room. How in the world at all does crocheting, spiritual warfare, and the deep, passionate love that you have for your family all actually meet and come together in something that makes sense? Crochet. You already know this truth. Crocheting is where we can literally give a tangible, physical expression of our love to the people that we love the absolute most in our life. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. You see something and you light up on the inside and you're like, oh my gosh. And you immediately have a name that comes to mind. Would love that. Okay. You experience that. And with joy and expectation, delight, you dive into that entire project. Even when that project is hard, even when you have frogged 5 times and you are getting frustrated, you may need to set it down, but you come back to it. And it's because of the love that you have for that member of your family or your friends. All right. So, right there, let's grab a hold of that. That aspect of loving so deeply. We can also see that in a mentality of mama bears, right? Okay. A mama bear mentality is I love and I love you with an intensity, a ferocity. I think I said that correct, right? Nobody messes with you. That aspect, that definitely encompasses spiritual warfare. So, spiritual warfare, as God has taught me through these years, being in the trenches, is not only standing and rebuking an enemy. Quite often, and in all transparency, the depths of what I have been in walking out in these trenches, the aspects of spiritual warfare that God has taught me is how to go dig down deep so that I have breakthroughs to become my children's normal. I have encounters that create opportunities so that the people that I love the most have a reality that's upgraded. That is a Momma Bear mentality. So, this is how crocheting, spiritual warfare, and love have all come together, and what we are legit going after in this entire jack-o'-lantern crochet along. Because, yeah, crocheting that guy, flipping awesome. He is fun so much. Oh, yes, he's exciting. He's amazing. It is so thrilling to be able to see something like that. Know that, I don't know, I've never made anything like that, but to step out and to give it your best shot and watch it come together. Watch it all come together one stitch at a time. And there comes this incredible moment where you have something like that completed and finished. Doesn't matter if you've never made a 3D object before. Can you crochet single crochets? US terms? Maybe make a couple of half double crochets. Can you work in rounds? Then you can do this. See, that's what's so glorious about a pattern, right? You don't need to create this from scratch and make the whole dang thing. That was my job. What you need to do is just simply follow the pattern. And it takes you one stitch at a time through the entire process. And so that's what we're doing here. There are often times God has walked somebody through something and given them a process. It will not be exact step by step. Okay. Our lives are not identical, but concepts, I can bring you concepts that you can grab a hold of and plug into the situations that you encounter as they arise, just like we do with these incredible Bible stories. So when you're reading in the Bible and you come across, God, give me a good example because this wasn't in my notes. All right, there is a Bible story. Elijah God has had him, during this drought time, had him by a brook, and ravens were bringing him food. But God tells him to move to a different place, actually to a specific town. And when he goes there, there is a widow who is gathering sticks, and he tells her, to please bring him a little bit of food. And I am paraphrasing, of course, but she's like, dude, you see me gathering this? Yeah, here's the plan. I have a little bit of oil and a little bit of flour, and I'm gathering this up so I can go make one final meal, and then that's it. My son and I are going to die. And the prophet tells her to go ahead and feed him first. She does. And the entire time that Elijah is there with her, she has a little bit of oil. She has a little bit of flour. It never changes in the jar, and yet they're eating every single day. Her son, and the prophet. All right. So that's a concept. And we have in the Bible that God tells us he's no respecter of persons. What happens when you're in a situation? I've shared this, I know, in social media, so forgive me for repeating if you've already heard it, but at the same time, testimonies are powerful. There is nothing wrong. Grab a hold of it, even if you've heard it before, right? So this would be all the way back in 2005. And I wasn't physically able to have a job and help provide for my family. I lived with my parents and my siblings. But what could I do at that point? I could be their driver. We had one car, my car. So I am waking up, I think, my goodness, at 4 o'clock in the morning to take one sister to work. By the time, I drove her where she needed to be, came back to the house because we lived quite a distance outside of town. It would be time to take my mom and drive her where she needed to go to work, turn around, go back to the house, pick up a second sister, take her to her part-time job, turn around, go back to the house. We didn't have running water, so every day I would gather all the water jugs, and then I would drive to go get all the water. And by the time, I've finished that, it's generally time to, do all the other things like pick people up and bring them home. Well, we messed up on the budgeting, and we came to this point where, like, it's going to be days. It's like Monday morning, and nobody's going to have a paycheck till Thursday. And my car is sitting right above E. And the night before, I gather all the change that we have, and it's only $1.14. But this Bible story comes to mind. So the next morning, me and sister number one, we drive to the gas station. I've made it to the gas station. I, turn everything off, look at my sister, and I tell her that Bible story. I'm like, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to put this $1.14 in the gas tank, and it doesn't matter if the gas gauge doesn't move at all. We are going to trust and believe God, and he's going to take care of us. I remember going in to pay for the gas and the person looking at me for a whole whopping $1.14, but it's what I had. So I put the gas, I paid for that. I put that in the gas tank, and, I turned the car on, and of course the gauge didn't move at all, but okay. So I go ahead and we drive, and I take sister number one and drop her off and go back to the house and grab my mom and take her to work and go back home and grab sister number two and everything I got to do. That's on Monday and on Tuesday and on Wednesday and Thursday morning to start everybody off. And I think it was my mom that got paid on Thursday. And so when she got off of work, and we cashed her check and went to the gas station, we took a concept and we asked God and we plugged it into our own life. So here's concepts. In this 12 days of this incredible crochet, Jackalana Crochet Along, yeah, we're going to cover crocheting that guy. We are not going to do every single stitch here on TV, here on live. That guy took me close to 20 hours. Okay. I am going to be making the bigger one during this time frame. The bigger one takes longer. So we're not looking for a clock on our calendar either. I'm not asking you to be done with a jack-o'-lantern between now and the end of these 12 days. You can. You have plenty of time if you want to have that in time for Halloween this year. We have all the little minis. You can go ahead and create the little dude, okay? There's 4 different versions of this little guy. He's lots of fun, right? That one you can work up one day, easy. But we're not going to use the clock or the calendar as our master. So 12 days, not as a master, 12 days to bring you concepts so that we can go down deep into fighting for our families and having breakthroughs while we are having incredible fun crocheting. And all of this is to bring hope, light in dark night moments where things are rough, things are hard. With all that being said, let me welcome you again to this joyful jack-o'-lantern crochet along. So if you've been with me already, here's how things are going. Hopefully, if tech is working, this is being live right now into YouTube and has been shared into the various 2 different Facebook groups. If tech is working well, my wonderful teenage son will be handling that for me. Today, I am offering the VIP treatment for everybody who wants to. The first 100 people in the description, you'll find a link to join Zoom. Come join me on Zoom. In the description, you're also going to find something I call the daily follow-along sheet. And today, everybody gets that. Normally, to be getting the daily follow-along sheet or to be on Zoom, you would be part of VIP. And so what that's going to look like, what does VIP look like? So we get in here. I bring to you whatever part of crocheting we're doing that day. I'll bring to you the teaching. Those on VIP, when we're troubleshooting crocheting parts, they would be able to, raise their digital hand. We would have interactions. So if you want to be on Zoom, that is you agreeing to give me permission that I can bring you on camera. Okay. Why is this so awesome? Have you ever been stuck in a spot with crocheting and you're trying to describe it to the person over the phone? I've done this with a sister a lot. Sometimes that can get kind of communication doesn't always work. But what if you can be on Zoom and adjust your phone to show me exactly what you're working on, and you can show me where you're having the mess and the hiccup, and I can actually help you through that spot because I can see what you're doing. Okay, so that's one glorious part. Well, with the teaching aspect, once we're done with the teaching and all the live streams end, VIP and I will go further. Just like when you get to have in-depth conversations and you're digging down deep to find more gold, and how does this affect you and your life and the people that you love? That's what happens in VIP. That's the part of being here on Zoom with me. When everything else ends for the live streams, that's where we're going to go deep. All right. So today for the crocheting, we're not going to actually troubleshoot anything. Yesterday we did cover adjustable loops. If you're following along in the pattern at this point, we shouldn't have gone too far that, we're ready to troubleshoot any parts. But what I want to do is I'm going to switch cameras and I would love to show you what you get to expect. Oh, that's right. Because if we're not looking for a clock and a calendar, and you're making this, it's a really big project. So I have something to give to you that is an incredible way to break this up into sections and make it a whole lot more fun. Let me go over here. Let's move to a different camera and show you what I've got. All right, we have definitely changed cameras. That's awesome. Let me share my screen. All righty. It is this one. That one. All righty. So what we have here is this is an email-based crochet along. What that means is, like, this is a sample one. This is what you get when you finished step 4. I have in each email this treasure map. We've broken this whole project up into 15 sections. And when you're ready to move forward, you get an email that lets you know what steps you're on. If you are crocheting the large one, which is what I have up there on that shelf, I'm sorry, the regular one. That one's the regular one. Step 5, you're going to be with color number 1, the interior, and you're going to work rounds 1 through 23 in the interior section. So you'll have the pattern and you'll have all those rounds right there. If you need video tutorial help, I have the link that takes you straight to that video tutorial. The pattern itself comes with the photo tutorial and letting you know where to start on timestamps and even all the way to go through. So you'd start at 20 minutes and 2 seconds. You could go all the way to 31:12. Each section has a timestamp, so if you don't need all of that, you can literally go into the description and get the specific timestamps that you need. But now this aspect at the end of each email is what is so incredible, okay? What you do is at the end of every email, you would mark that. Oops, it didn't mark it. Oh, that's right, because it's just a, this is just a sample. It's a PDF. But when you do that, it would actually click, when you click on it, it would actually mark it. And then this is a button that says done. All you do then is when you click that button, it moves the next piece in the system, which means for you that you would be getting the next step brought right to your inbox so you can work at your pace. This is not based on anybody else. It doesn't matter if you're joining the crochet along on day 10. Does not matter. You work at your pace. It doesn't matter if you are right now watching this and you are already on step 12 out of 15. Hallelujah. When you move to the next part and you are ready, you mark it off, you click done. Email-based crochet along means you get to still be part of all the interacting and the hanging out, but you crochet at your pace when it's convenient for you and your time, and you don't have any stress. So that is what I wanted to cover today with the crocheting. Let's actually, today we're going to be jumping right into the teaching part that I started to talk to you about at the beginning of this, of spiritual warfare. So I have a specific example of what this is looking like. I grew up with a thought process, not that somebody ever said this to me, but the way that I perceived different situations, responses, and how things came all together. I believed something. What I believed was that I wasn't enough. In some aspects. In other aspects, I believed that I was too much. I was too much and I needed to tone things down. But in other aspects, that I just wasn't enough. Again, I don't have anybody in my life that ever looked at me and said, Eventine, you are just not enough. I never had that. And in fact, when anybody would hear the things that I was saying, I was feeling or whatnot, they would communicate that that was a lie. But it didn't dislodge the lie. It didn't remove it. I still was experiencing it. I had tangled up mess inside of me, okay? Fast forward however many years, and I have become a mama. And oh my goodness, I love this kiddo. I love all my kiddos. And with a passion, Momma Bear mentality, right? And in this, I don't ever want them to hurt the same way. And I use with everything I can, my words and my actions and our interactions, right? To just how much I'm proud of them. I love them. Thank you for what they've done. You know, there's places where we have moments to correct and whatnot. And a few years ago, I'm having some like my oldest son and I just kind of seem to be clashing in this moment. And I'm trying to understand like what the problem is. And it's over cleaning. Um, and in having a discussion with him, words come out that break my heart. And he says, it's as if you just believe that I'm not enough. I hurt so bad that I'm not enough. And I remember in that moment just feeling like the floor left. I never thought those words. I never communicated those words. I did everything I could to communicate the exact opposite. But we pass on legacies. We pass things on to our kids, whether we wanted to or not. Just like I know from my parents, they have places that have left them wounded and hurt, and they didn't want that to pass on to me and my siblings. And then we could go back farther, having conversations with grandparents when they were still here. And yet, pain has still traveled through. This is the type of spiritual warfare that I'm talking about, that I'm communicating through a Momma Bear mentality, is what we can completely eradicate. There was a point at, and we're going to touch on this. Let me just breathe. There we go. We're going to touch on this Momma Bear mentality concept. God will sometimes use very random moments to teach something. I'm on a walk alone with God. I'm headed to the local little store, grocery store. We'll pick up a few items. It's just me. And I remember where I'm walking because I remember the store is about a block ahead, and I'm walking next to a park where we used to live in Nebraska. And I suddenly hear God, but at the same time, I kind of see. I don't actually see it there. It's as if like an image, Pokemon Go. You know how you're on your phone and you can have it look like you're just walking around and suddenly there's an image of a Pokemon? Sometimes when God is talking to me, it's like an image is just kind of, I can see it in the midst of everything else. He drops pictures. And so this is one of those moments. I see a bear running at me, but again, I know it's not like I don't actually see it. It was just an impression. And at the same moment that I see that, it's like Holy Spirit tapped on a memory button of an article I had just recently read. Now, this article, that news article that I had recently read, a mom and her children, so a family was up in some of our northern states on a vacation. And the smaller children, I think like 6 and 8 or 10 and yeah, something. They were little, okay? Her children were outside, but Mama notices, I don't remember, the dad was like still up in the room or something else. Mom was outside and noticed a bear charging towards her children. Mom, without hesitating, ran between her kids and that bear, giving her children time to get inside. Mama didn't make it, but she did protect her kiddos. So in this moment, I'm walking. God gives me an image of a bear running at me. He highlights that article and he asks me, would you lay your life down for your boys? At that point, we didn't have our third child, my little girl, but same thing. If asked today, it applies to her too. But it was like, yeah, even if it means losing my life, of course, to protect my kids. God, I get this impression like he's like, good. Shakes his head, yes. Nods his head, yes. But then I hear God and he says, okay, now I need you to live for them. And I'm thinking like, that's not what the scripture says. Scripture says no greater love than one who then will lay down his life for another. And God goes, but I'm asking you to live. In that, God started to teach me that going through this process, this aspect of spiritual warfare, and digging down deep, it encompasses that same concept, okay, of laying my life down for those that I love so much. Because this battle, this spiritual warfare, digging down deep, you're going to expose all sorts of places that you are vulnerable, that you have pain. But you're doing it so that the ones you love can be set free. Yes, you get set free, but I know where my heart was. I wouldn't pursue this for myself. Better believe I would pursue it for them. That is where we're coming in. So when I shared about my oldest son hurting the exact same way, and it devastating me of like, how in the world did this ever happen? I was diligently going after you, God, so that this would not take place. Doesn't mean that I failed. It doesn't mean that I didn't step up soon enough. God works everything out for our good. Everything. So in that, you have to still walk it out. Me still walking it out will still impact my children. We've already begun seeing even bigger breakthroughs. We've been seeing breakthroughs. I mean, holy cow, there are amazing relationship breakthroughs that were normal. They were normal mindsets. They were normal interactions that are completely foreign today. But still pursuing and working all these concepts is where we are seeing bigger and greater breakthroughs. As I shared yesterday, glory to glory to glory, right? So if you are going to be a mama bear, are you willing to live for your family? Are you willing to dig down deep so you can experience freedom, so they can experience freedom? And if you are a yes, then let's go back to 4 verses that we talked about yesterday to start building on our foundation, okay? Yesterday, we started with Proverbs 25, verse 2. Right now, I'm reading out of the NIV. It is the glory of God to conceal a matter. To search out a matter is the glory of kings. When you are pursuing this with Papa God, that is what you are. You are searching out a matter, okay? We're going to look at Matthew 6:33. But first seek his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow. Oh, that's verse 34. Again, from yesterday, I understand when you read above it, it's talking about do not be worried about your life, what you will eat or drink, your body, what you will wear. Okay. But I also know that we can encompass all things. And worried about my life encompasses my kiddos. Everything. Matthew 7 and 8. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives. He who seeks finds. And to him who knocks the door will be opened. And one more from yesterday was 11 verse 12. For the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven has been forcefully advancing, and forceful men lay hold of it. As I shared with yesterday, the translation that I had memorized is the kingdom of heaven is at hand, and the violent take it by force. Jesus laid everything down so that we could have life and life abundantly. Well, life and life abundantly means that we are not living and passing on generational hurts, such as I'm not enough. And the kingdom of heaven is at hand. The violent take it by force. Why do we need to be violent? Spiritual warfare. You are going to be going after a new territory. There will be opposition. That's what this is. There will be resistance. There will be mindsets to be going after, and God promises to renew our minds. There will be emotions to work through. There will be patterns, established dynamics that we've operated in without even realizing that God will highlight. You will have resistance, and that's okay. Resistance provides training. Training gives us strength. Strength gives us the ability to stand and stand firm then. And that means when you come face to face with this same thing, with your kiddos, with your spouse, with your best friend, you're now equipped and able to help them walk it out. So let's look today at another place. Now, today I'm going to be sharing these verses from the Passion Translation. It was found in Proverbs 14, looking at verses 1 and 2, verse 4, and then 26 and 27. Every wise woman encourages and builds up her family, but a foolish woman over time will tear it down by her own actions. Lovers of truth follow the right path because of their wonderment and worship of God. Verse 4. The only clean stable is an empty stable. So if you want the work of an ox and to enjoy an abundant harvest, you'll have a mess or two to clean up. And then verses 26 and 27. Confidence and strength flood the hearts of the lovers of God who live in awe of him, and their devotion provides their children with a place of shelter and security. To worship God in wonder and awe opens a fountain of life within you, empowering you to escape death's domain. The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Death's domain. Every wise woman encourages and builds up her family. Momma Bear. The only clean stable is an empty stable. So you'll end up with a mess or two. When you crochet, there are times that the yarn gets pretty tangled up, gets knotted. It came that way like it's a brand new skein. What a beat, right? Or it's not a brand new skein and you dug it out of your stash of yarn, and needless to say, it's going to take just a little bit of time and effort, possibly some frustration moments, to untangle it so that you can crochet with it. That's what we kind of mean by a mess or two. But okay, when you look at those four foundational verses, plus this, and now I'm asking you to combine that with concepts, okay, and to go into spiritual warfare. I have a visual example that really helps bring this, to clarity. I want you to envision that you see lying on the ground one of those really hard, heavy-duty ropes, the types that they use to attach to vehicles for towing. Very heavy-duty rope. Now, if you see this rope, you have a lot of different choices. You have the choice to completely ignore this thing. It is not yours. It's not important. It has nothing to do with you. You just keep on moving. You have a choice where you could pick it up, but once you feel the weight, the heaviness of this, you could immediately drop it. Too much for you. You could pick it up, but you could be doing so many other things, having this conversation, doing that. There comes a point where even just holding this is stupid. It's what's the purpose of it? And it's just distracting you from all the things you're trying to do. You're too busy for this. And now you'll drop it. But if you knew that this rope held the key to what would set your family free, would bring you peace internally, would take away the fears or the guilt or the shame, would do the exact same thing for your children, you would not ignore this rope. And it doesn't matter the weight of it. And all other things are the distractions and will be ignored. Your full focus will be on this rope. And whether you need to pull something to you or you need to follow this rope to get to somewhere, it will consume you. That's what this is. This is a mindset. This is a mindset to not give up and to keep going. Now, yesterday I said that in these 12 days we were going to cover 3 main parts. And the first part, especially being a mama bear, I understand seems to be completely against the grain. But it's this first part that holds the beginning steps so that you can have the greatest impact. That first part is you are worth loving. Today I'm going to uncover the things that God told me, showed me, as to why it was those aspects, those you are worth loving is the beginning of all of this. So let me pull up. Okay. So my notes are awesome, but then the light is right there and I can't read through it. Okay. So I'm going to have to look down for my notes. That's just the way it is. It's all good. Alrighty. God gave me some different dreams to teach me these concepts. There was a time years ago, I asked God to start teaching me in my dreams because I would be less resistant. There are moments where I will hear something that God says, and I'll be like, in that moment it is so clear and amazing, and then I'll be like, wait a second, I don't even remember what you said. And I remember the first couple of times this happened, I was like wondering what the heck is wrong with me. But there came a moment where Holy Spirit told me that He was working it inside of me like yeast is kneaded into the dough. He said, what He just shared with me is such a complete opposite to what I currently believe, that He will work this into me. Well, one of the ways that He works truth into me is through dreams. So I'm going to share, like I said, 4 different dreams. This first one was a very short dream. There wasn't a lot that happened into it. I was in a old, dusty town. The roads were dirt roads. And all that I remember clearly seeing was in the main road, it was like a centerpiece, and it was a fountain. And so like the road, you came in and the road kind of went around the fountain. And this fountain, beautiful fountain, but it's not working. There's no water running. So you have a beautiful fountain, but no water running. And planted around this fountain are flowers. And you can see, you just get the concept that things are dry. So the flowers are blooming, but that's all you see. Now it's like a blink. And in the dream, I just understood time passed. And so it's still this dry fountain, but the difference is this time the flowers are scraggly. They're not blooming as well. They're not growing as tall, and they're getting thinned out. And then there's a blink. More time has passed. Same dry fountain. This time the flowers, you have even less of them. Blink. Same dry fountain. This time you have plants, but nothing's blooming. And in fact, these plants look really sickly. Blink. We have the same dry fountain, and we have no growth. And then just with that still image, I hear God. And He tells me the fountain is me. And if I don't let myself experience being loved on, then I'm a dry fountain. And the plants around me were the people around me. And when things are at the beginning, at least they were still blooming. But as you watch as time passes, it's blooming less and less and less. Now, I totally understand that my children have other aspects of their lives. But God was teaching me in that one moment, me making one choice to constantly sacrifice myself, to constantly put myself last, to not make sure that I was being well loved by myself, would impact everybody in my life. Whereas if I was a running fountain, that would greatly impact everybody in my life. So that was the first dream. The next dream was a my love. Yeah. I am live, but I can. Sorry, today was just a very late day with text.
Fine.
Okay. You have a good day.
Mm-hmm. Good enough.
I'll talk to you soon, my love. All right, this dream. There was a lot going on, but the main aspect of this entire thing was there was a massive monster with a lot of tentacles, and it was outside. It couldn't come in, but every now and then it found a way through a door or a window or a crack in the wall. A tentacle would come in, and in the dream immediately, either me or my husband or both would stop what we were doing, and we would fight off this tentacle to get it back outside. So, like I said, there was a lot in that dream, but that was the one aspect to just bring to the table for today's teaching, was not only in spiritual warfare are you digging down deep. There are times that, yes, spiritual warfare is, of course, something has just tried to impact and take over and happen in your family right now. And that is where you need to stop and take care of things. Okay. That's the mama bear aspect, right? Daddy bear aspect. You drop everything to take care of your family. So in loving and loving well, we never let go of that aspect. I just want you to mesh them together. And these last two dreams show why. I had an ice storm dream. Now, at this particular point in my life, basically my world has imploded. I've found myself where I've never wanted to be, emotionally, mentally. Things have blown up, and it's incredibly painful. And I have no idea what to even do, how to navigate this. Should I even try? I am just, my world is shattered. And I have this dream, and in the dream, it's not just me and my family, but a lot of people. And we're in this area, just regular day-to-day things. But there's a warning that comes out that there's a massive ice storm. Everybody needs to take shelter. So, nobody hesitates. Like, it's just, it's a storm, whatever. And we go into this big shelter. But when the storm hits, we realize that something's different. This storm seems to be alive, and it's evil. And it's not just going to blow over. It's literally trying to infiltrate and get inside. And so the dream is a lot of different series of like going farther and farther in to the center of this big building and whatnot. And we're losing people along the way. And towards the end of the dream, we're in a reactor room. That's how I remember it, how we referenced it. We're in a reactor room, and it's all that's left. There's nowhere else to go. And in the dream, I'm in a sleeping bag with my little girl, and she's crying. And in the other half of the room, my husband and our two boys have already frozen to death. And in my dream, the ice storm has infiltrated. It's already in the reaction room. And my little girl, like I said, she's crying. She's crying. She doesn't want to die. And I'm in the dream holding her, doing everything I can, but I don't know of anything else to do. And I cry out to God, and the dream stops. It's like it's just paused, and I hear God. And He tells me the only way to save her is to fight for my heart. So when I wake up from that dream, there's a lot of conversations with God. I was like, oh, okay. So I have to fight for my heart in this whole situation so that however all this comes out, she isn't harmed. Well, okay, I'm asking God about, everybody else in the dream, specifically the husband and two boys. Not long afterwards, I get another dream. And in this dream, uh, we went on a family vacation to Hawaii, but Hawaii doesn't look like Hawaii. Hawaii looks like the driveway of our home in Berthoud. Now, nothing against Berthoud. Berthoud is amazing, and for other people, it's awesome. Berthoud is my Egypt, and I need out of Egypt. I have been walking with God to leave Egypt and all those mentalities behind. Berthoud is my Egypt. Berthoud is not something, I can go there and visit. It's just internally. Okay. So it holds a lot of significance that in the dream, we're in the driveway at Berthoud. Well, in the dream, we have gotten off the plane and there's some show going on and they want a volunteer, and I got volunteered. Somebody else kind of shoved me forward, but a large multiple tentacled monster erupts out of nowhere and everybody's screaming and trying to get to safety. And in all the chaos, one of my boys dies. And again, I wake up in this horrendous emotional, because it seems so very real. And again, God lets me know I have to fight. Otherwise, I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose him. I don't know that God was telling me I would physically, he would die. But the way that he processes life is very similar to how I process life. So through these dreams, even though I was in a place I never wanted to be and had no comprehension of how to move forward, the message was really clear. I had to fight to live, fight from my heart so I could protect them. Momma Bears, that's what all this is about. Even if you have never given yourself permission, or you very rarely give yourself permission, the reality and the truth is that you are worth loving. When you are pursuing God, yesterday we talked about having a vertical relationship with God versus your horizontal relationships with people. This discrepancy, because that's what this is, the discrepancy that you have, that you are less than, not enough, too much, that it's you last no matter what. That is a discrepancy that you need to take to God, and you need to go dig down deep. How do we do that? That's that rope. Okay. You are having conversations with God. You are pursuing, you are asking, you are seeking, you are knocking. Okay. When you want incredible breakthrough for your family, and you come to these moments, if you don't allow you to be lavishly loved by God, then by yourself, you're not going to receive so well loving from others. That is the key. Remember how I said at the beginning, nobody in my life ever told me I wasn't enough. Nobody used those words. And in fact, whenever there would be conversations and something of this nature would come up, they would say the exact opposite. They would tell me how special I am, how amazing, how much they love me. And it didn't dislodge the lie. I did not dislodge that discrepancy from my life. So what comes from that is I'm stuck in a place. And when other people are lavishly loving me, I'm not receiving so very well. And as I practice living, my children are watching and they will practice living. That's why this is a generational thing. And mama bears, what makes us a mama bear, we get to a mentality that it ends with me. No more of this. I will see this through and I will see this completed so that there is breakthrough. With that, as I have shared, we have daily follow along sheets. In there, I said that I did not give today's title for a reason. The reason I didn't give today's title is neurological pathways. So to wrap this up, whenever I'm teaching somebody to crochet, I explain to them that yes, at the beginning, learning how to hold a crochet hook, right? It's not something you're used to. Learning how to hold the yarn, okay? However you hold it. Now I'm all tangled up. But how I hold it, is like this. And if you haven't yet, what do you need, Lois? Listen, if you're not yet used to this isn't something you've normally done, all this feels weird. But for me, it's muscle memory. It just happens. Well, what's the difference? In your brain, okay, the way God made us, from your brain down to your fingers, anywhere in your body, you have neurological pathways. And when you are first starting something, those pathways are just getting built. So that's as if there's a field across the street and I'm walking across the field. Once I get to the other side, you can't pinpoint the exact steps I took because the grass has already sprung back up. But if I continue to walk that exact same path repetitively, I continue to hold a crochet hook repetitively. I continue practicing holding yarn and doing all this together. I am repeating this action, so much that pathway, if you were, okay, let's stick with the field. If I've walked across that field numerous times now, over and over and over again, the exact same path, what happens is you can actually start to see a path. Just standing at one side of the field or another, you can visually see where the grass is flattened down. There comes a point, if it's traveled so much that the grass doesn't grow there anymore, you have a small dirt path. Again, if it's traveled so much, that dirt path starts to widen. It comes to a point, let's say that now I'm moving so much across that it becomes not just a widened path, but what do we do with pathways that are well traveled, right? We turn them into roads. Well, now we have a dirt road. Comes to a point that it becomes a gravel road. Comes to a point that it becomes a paved road. Comes to a point that it's now an expanded road and you've got 2 lanes going each way, right? We get some roads that are so highly traveled that we have like 6-lane freeways, right? Same thing is happening in your body. I have been crocheting for a very long time. I do this all the time. The pathway, the neurological pathway from my brain to my hands for crocheting is well built, well traveled. All right, but it isn't just physical things that this takes place. It's also mindsets. And as I've shared in, my goodness, I would like to pull it up for you. So let's switch cameras again. Sorry. Ow! Cords. Let's go over here. There we go. I've switched cameras and now I can share my screen. Alrighty. So if you'll read right here, day 2, where I do not have the title. Not sharing the title because what has already been said, agreed with, and no follow through, it has an immediate lethargic or a numbing effect on our thought process. You already have a neurological pathway that does not hold any weight or value. So if I say these words and it is associated with something that has no cost and no reward, it is a thought process that has become sterile. A sterile thought process brings you no life. So I didn't give you the title of this or the exercise that I'm going to invite you in until I've brought to you all of that. And if any of that has resonated with you, it has impacted you, then I'm going to ask you to go on a daddy, God, and daughter date. And if you've heard these terms before, that is amazing. But with what we have just covered, we're going to take something that may have potentially been sterile with no cost, no reward. Sometimes we said, oh my gosh, that sounds like an amazing idea. And then we went to go do it. But that's also the day that our friend called us up and needed a ride. And that's also the day that, this happened and that happened and this came up. And so, I was going to, but it's okay that I didn't go and take time for myself because, this person needed me, that person needed me. And what we did was those neurological pathways have been created to hold no weight, no value. Now we have a phrase that was connected to something that led us nowhere. So I'm going to ask you that if it led to nowhere before, to come in through the back door. How do you do that? You take all those things that I just brought and you listen to them and you let God highlight where it needs to tug at your heart, and then you move forward. In this, I have a gift for you. When you go ahead and join the official Crochet Along, there are quite a few gifts that are immediates, and one of them is a specific daddy-daughter date guide, more of a journal. Let's call it a journal for you. And that daddy-daughter date journaling helps you to get out of lethargic, get out of numb, and begin to move forward. By having daddy-daughter dates with God, you actually can learn a whole lot about yourself. And by starting off with simple things, do you enjoy going for a walk? Awesome. Invite God to go with you. Intentionally have conversations with God. I love going to thrift stores and just, I don't know, look around. Take God, ask God to go hang out with me. Make it intentional of like, okay, well, not only that, but I'm going to stop and get a burger on the way. Okay? By doing these and intentionally going after them, it literally is an incredibly simple sounding thing that doesn't seem to make sense how this brings the breakthrough. But this is one of those steps that God has highlighted while I walked things through the trenches, is to go and love on yourself, to invite God to go be with you and to go love on you. That's what I have for you guys today. In these daily follow along sheets, which you can find in today's description, you will be able to find the activation of like how to join the Crochet Along so you can go get that gift, and just notes from today. But today's title and everything I'm encouraging you to go do is to go have a daddy, God, and daughter date. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the third day of this Crochet Along. Bye, guys.